Hey guys, it's great to see you again. Welcome back to yet another deck profile. I hope you guys had an amazing day, and if it's nighttime, having an amazing night. Last night I had an amazing night. I opened a single box of Dimension Forces, and of all things that I pulled inside of it, I pulled a Lily, which was the Plant Therion. I pulled the Visa Starfrost, I pulled the Therion Field Spell, and I actually pulled the Starlight Rare Exosister Magnifica. I was so hyped when I pulled this. Me and my buddies were basically like going like, let's go! You know, the usual thing. But dude, I was so hyped when I pulled that Exosister Magnifica. The dopamine levels just skyrocketed. I started shaking, my hands were super unsteady. It was hilarious. But do you want to know what else was amazing? This upcoming deck profile, and that actually is Beetroopers. Beetroopers have a very nice place in this meta right now, especially with the banning of Verte and Anaconda. One of the main things that the Beetroopers were able to do is they're able to search like high-level insects, and of those high-level insects you actually have Contact C. Contact C being very good in the meta right now, especially because of the fact that it can stop Branded Despia, and it can also interrupt like invoked plays and other things. And if they have no way to get it off the field, which was always the issue with Contact C, then they basically lose. The only issue prior to this ban list was the fact that Verte existed. So if they normal summoned a monster and you Contact C'd them, they would just make Verte make DPE, or continue going through their plays if they have extenders, and then you just have to break their board. But because Verte is banned now, and there's no generic Link monsters that they can really use except maybe Ausa the Earth Charmer, but nobody's playing that. They might be able to use like Beat Cop, but most decks aren't playing that either. Now you have Contact C, and Contact C is a built-in hand trap within the archetype that's able to at least stun them out, and also is part of your combo lines that you're able to get if you're going first, or even going second. If you're going first, it even acts like a, in a way, I guess you could say it's a window in the sense that they have to, it stops their extra deck plays if they have no way to out it. If it's a main deck board like Flunder, it's not really going to affect them, unfortunately. But besides that, it's actually very, very competent. In the deck, you also have Retaliating C. Retaliating C being that if they use like the Adventurer engine, where they use the Rite of Aramesia, or Fateful Adventure to summon like summon the token, you can slap Retaliating C down on the field, and it basically says that everything's banished now. It's like a macrocosmos on the field that they have to get rid of. So if you're playing against base, they can't get the Rose Dragon stuff online because I believe it says that the red Rose Dragon has to be sent to the graveyard in order to summon out the Rox Rose by using a Synchro material. I may be wrong, but it really cripples the plays of the deck in the sense that they have to play through Macrocosmos, and most decks can't handle that anymore. In addition to that, we also have just so many like insect extenders. You have so many ways to break boards with it because you have a searchable Kaiju, similar to kind of how like Dinos had the ability to search Doggeran. But this deck profile is actually very interesting in the fact that it's not just normal Beetroopers, it's actually fusion Beetroopers. The biggest issue that Beetroopers also had was the fact that it used to be just DPE turbo. People would just like turbo out Verte Anaconda, get Fly and Sting, set that on the field, which was like their counter trap, and then they would just make, it was just DPE pass basically, DPE with some insect good stuff. But now that Verte is banned, we can't do that either. But the cool thing is this deck actually has a lot of interesting plays now because there's actually a single card in this deck that makes it very, very viable for a fusion strategy. But I'll show you in the deck profile. So let's get right into it. Bro, I'm so happy about this card. It looks so good. I've never pulled a Starlight before. I pulled so many ultimate rares. Well, not so many. I probably pulled about 7. But this thing just tops them all. It looks so nice. It makes me really want to build the Exosisters right now. But I'll put that off to the side for now, and so we can get into the deck profile. So Beetroopers have quite a few starters, to put it simply. To begin with, we're going to run 3 Dragon Bite, which came out in Battles of Chaos. It's a TCG exclusive, which is really nice because it's a good starter. Once normal summoned, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower insect monster from your hand. You can also banish 1 level 4 or lower insect monster from your hand, graveyard, or face up on the field, then target 1 face up monster you control. Increase its level by the level of that banished monster. So if you really wanted to, you can actually run a synchro strategy with this card and be able to make like Baronne in certain cases, or just make any like generic synchros because this can modulate levels. In addition to the starter, we're going to be running 3 Battle Wasp Pin the Bullseye. Pin the Bullseye is just a special summon if you control an insect monster from your and you special summon from your hand. And also it burns in time, funny enough, because it does 200 burn damage during your main phase. So if you're struggling in the last round, you can just say special summon Pin the Bullseye, burn, continue your combo, and if it reaches time, you win. We're running 3 Beetroopers Scale Bombers. Scale Bomber is interesting in the fact that, yes, if an insect monster is normal special summon, you can from your to the field, you can special summon it from your hand. But it's also like a Ghost Ogre, because when a monster your opponent controls activates its effect, quick effect can contribute an insect monster and destroy it. So it contributes itself. And basically it's like a Ghost Ogre on the field, which is pretty cool. And then we're also running 3 Resonance Insect. The main playmaker of this deck that allows us to do all of our combos. You really want to see a Resonance Insect in your hand and some way to get it out of your hand. You have ways with Dragon Bite, so Dragon Bite plus Resonance Insect is full combo. Normal summon Resonance Insect and special Scale Bomber or Pin the Bullseye, I believe, is also full combo if you have certain extenders. It's really good. What it does is if it's sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add 1 level of 5 or higher insect monster from your deck to your hand. And if this card is banished, you can send 1 insect monster from your deck to the graveyard. And these are not once per turn, so you can just keep on looping all 3 Resonance Insects, and you actually have a way to shuffle them back into the deck for more resource loop. We're also running triple Battle Wasp Sting the Poison. When this card is normal summoned, you can basically add Battle Wasp Pin the Bullseye or Arbalest. This is also a good starter because if you just normal summon Sting the Poison, you add Pin to special summon, and then you can go into your link plays. In addition, if it's on the field, it's a, an infinite impermanence, because it says, quick effect, you contribute 1 other insect monster, target 1 effect monster your opponent controls, negates effects until the end of the turn. So it's also a infinite impermanence that you can use during your opponent's turn, which is pretty cool. We have some, so these are all the main starters. We have a conditional starter in the deck, which would be triple Beetroopers Scout Buggy. You actually don't want to use this in your combo. You don't want to use it at all. You don't want to see it in your hand. It's not good in that sense because you need it to do your fusion plays. It's good because it allows it, because it can basically special summon Beetrooper Scout Buggies from your deck, hand, or graveyard. So it's good for recursion as long as you can keep on looping them. You can make rank 3s, you can make link 2 insects and whatnot. But you don't really want to see this. I know a lot of Beetrooper lists don't like Scout Buggy because mainly it's like an ash bait is what they were calling it, but for this it's actually an integral part of the strategy, but you don't want to use it in your combo. That's why I was saying it's a conditional starter. Besides that, so we have like the 3 Scout Buggy. This would be 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. If you take out those 3, you're running like 15 starters in this deck. So most of the time you just want to see 2 of them in your hand, or maybe like, usually you'll start with 2 or 3 in your hand. So those are our like main starter monsters, to say the least. We're going to get off into our kind of extenders. We're going to be running a double Goki Pole, and we're going to be running double Beetrooper Sting Lancer. Goki Pole being a send-off Resonance Insect to add Beetrooper Assault Roller, which is this card. You can send like Retaliating Sea. If this is sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 level 4 insect monster from your deck to your hand, and then if it's a normal monster, you can special summon it and destroy 1 monster on the field with attack greater or equal to that special summon monster. You could run Killer Needle in this deck, which actually is this would make it an extender that can special summon itself, except the only issue with Killer Needle is it's a brick, but it can also pop a card in the field, so if you're going second, you might want to side a single Killer Needle for your Goki Pole. The Beetrooper Sting Lancer is actually a built-in hand trap. Unfortunately, it doesn't work going first. Kind of. There is one interesting interaction that you may have. So like, let's say you have like Contact Sea and you have Sting Lancer in your hand. What you can do is you can Contact Sea them. If they out the Contact Sea, you can actually use the Beetrooper Sting Lancer to target one of their monsters in their graveyard, and the Contact Sea, shuffle them into deck, special summon this, and then you get a Beetrooper spell and Trap Search. So this is kind of like a conditional hand trap. It's pretty cool. I really like it in the deck. I think 2 is more than enough. 3 is bricky because you don't want to really see it. You want to use it through your combos or add it off your combos. And of course you need the Assault Roller for further extension off Resonance Insect. Now we're going to get off into the one-ofs, with Beetrooper Assault Roller being one of them. Then we're going to run a single Doom Dozer. We're going to run one Godarla, the Mystery Dust Kaiju. One heavy Beetrooper Mighty Neptune. These are like our main extenders in a sense, or big things that we can do. Doom Dozer being added off of your Resonance Insect when it's sent to the graveyard, so you can extend by banishing it, which then sends like Goki-Pole to the graveyard to add a Assault Roller. You can do that. Beetrooper Mighty Neptune allows you to shuffle 3 banished insect monsters into the main deck, so unfortunately you can't recycle your extra deck with this card, and then it will special summon itself. During the end phase, you can target an insect that you control, and target one other insect you control, and then it gains 1,000 attack, which is actually it's very useful in this combo. Let's just put it that way. Those are like our main ones, and then Godarla is a searchable kaiju that you can use off Resonance Insect, like if they have a Dragoon, because the biggest issue is you don't really have non-targeting removal in this deck. You can make really massive boards. Like, you can make really big beaters, because the Beetrooper Link 4 can make itself 5k by tributing a monster. You can beat over most things. But if there's like some really pesky card that you can't get rid of, Godarla is a searchable kaiju, which is very nice. Now, we're going to get into the bread and butter of this deck profile that this whole deck revolves around. And as I said, it's a single card, and that actually is Fusion Parasite. Fusion Parasite is a very strange card. It's an insect, it's a level 1 insect, which means you can also use 1-for-1 for it, which is good because you might be able to send, like, you can send stuff from your hand, extend out with Fusion Parasite. What Fusion Parasite says is, this card can be used as a substitute for any one fusion monster whose name is specifically listed on the fusion monster card. But the other fusion materials must be correct, and it cannot be used as fusion material otherwise. And then, if this card is special summoned, except during the damage step, you can fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters you control as fusion materials, including this card. So it turns out that this is actually a fusion substitute. Very similar to the light hex sealed fusion for Branded and how they can make Dragoon, we have this ability with Fusion Parasite now to be able to sub into any fusion monster that specifically lists a monster, which is very strong, to be honest. As such, the 1-for-1 allows us to get into it more consistently, but our combo line, because of the fact that we can dump this to the graveyard off Resonance Insect, allows us to always have graveyard access to this and Monster Reborn it in various ways. But we'll get back into that in a second. I'm going to finish off the lineup. I'm running one Beetrooper Flying Sting, which is the trap that you can add off a Sting Lancer, for example. It's just a one-of that you can add. It resets itself if you control a 3k or more insect monster, which you might not, really depends. This is usually used for a line if the Fusion Parasite line gets ended. And now on to kind of hand traps in the deck. We're running triple Retaliating Sea, which can also act as a starter, because what I told you about this earlier. It says, during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a spell that includes an effect that special summons a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. If summoned this way, while this card is face up on the field, any card sent to the graveyard is banished instead. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add one Earth Insect type monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck to your hand, except Retaliating Sea. So what you can do is you can actually add, off Retaliating Sea, you can add Contact Sea, or you can add Resonance Insect for starters, or most of your insect monsters. You can basically add anything in your deck to your hand. And then we're also running triple Contact Sea. This is one of my favorite cards in the deck now because of the fact that Verte is banned. Because it's banned, this just becomes infinitely better in my opinion. Because it says, when your opponent normally special summons a monster, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand to your opponent's field in defense position. This card's controller cannot Fusion, Synchro, XZ, or Link Summon unless they use this card as material. It's a level 6, so I guess you can make Beatrice out of it for any BA player. I guess if you're running other level 6, nah, that doesn't work because you just use Dante. Yeah, if you're running a 6 strategy, I guess you're fine. But if you're not running that, you basically have no way to get this off the field because Verte's gone, which is amazing in this format. Other than these 6, I'm also running a triple Effect Veiler. I know Effect Veiler is kind of bad. I just have it kind of here as a placeholder. I would throw in, I guess you could throw in Ghost Ogre, basically any hand trap you want here. This is just like the 3-of slot of any hand trap that you want. Or I guess you could throw Droplets if you want it. It really depends upon how you want to build this deck. I like monster hand traps because of the interaction with Sting Lancer. Because if you have Sting Lancer plus a hand trap, you basically have 2 interruptions instead of if you had Sting Lancer plus like Imperm, because it can't shuffle the Imperm, it has to shuffle a monster. So you would have the Effect Veiler being live because of that, because Sting Lancer says that you have to target an insect monster in your graveyard. Well, no, I guess Effect Veiler wouldn't work. I'm wrong in that regards, but basically Sting Lancer plus Retaliating or Contact is amazing. If you get another insect hand trap, then yeah, that would be amazing. Maxi ain't never coming back, so my hopes are dashed on that. If Maxi did come back, this deck would go to Tier 0 immediately. Tier 0 meta threat, you know, the Joseph Rothschild special, because of the fact that we can search off Retaliating Scene, a whole bunch of other things in our combo. But yeah, this is basically just an open spot here. Other than that, so that's basically the hand trap lineup. Other than that, we're running 2 Beetrooper Descent, which is an extender, plus, weirdly enough, a MST. What Beetrooper Descent says is special summon a Beetrooper token. It's an Insect Earth level 3 with an attack 1,000 and defense 1,000. Then if you control an insect monster with 3,000 or more attack, you can destroy one other spell trap on the field. The only time that you would actually get the second effect is if you have the 3k Link 4, I think, what is it called? Beetrooper Absolute, no, is it Absolute Hercules? No, it's Invincible. It's Giant Beetrooper Invincible Atlas. I'm talking way too fast. But that's the only time that you would really get it off. I guess if you have the main deck Beetrooper, which was 3k also, which is Mighty Neptune. Mighty Neptune can also cause the second effect to go off, but regardless of that, there's like no other ways that you can cause it to resolve. But we don't really care about that second part. It's mainly just the fact that it's a spell that summons a monster. It summons a token, which can be used for extension plays, and also it's a searchable spell off of Sting Lancer, so you can actually, if you're going during your opponent's turn, you contact C or Retaliating, they get rid of it, you Sting Lancer them, then you're able to add Beetrooper Descent as an extender, or you can add Beetrooper Formation. Beetrooper Formation being a Monster Reborn field spell for Beetroopers. It says you can target 1 Beetrooper in your graveyard, special summon it, but it cannot attack this turn. Also, you lose life points equal to its original attack. And then, if a face-up insect monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon 1 Beetrooper token, which is a level 3 Earth with 1,000 attack and defense. You can only use each effect once per turn. So this actually really helps you grind through your deck, through the game, because what you can basically do is just Beetrooper Formation, Scout Buggies in the graveyard, summon back Scout Buggy, summon another Scout Buggy, make a Link 2, start Link climbing with effects and whatnot. And it's a good follow-up. I like Beetrooper Formation. You only want to run 1 because it's searchable, and it's not one of the main combo lines in the deck. But that's actually all the main deck for now. So, let's get off into the extra. In the extra deck, we're going to be running 1 Seraphim Papillion, which is another Monster Reborn. It's a Link 3, and it says you need 2+ monsters with different names. If this card is Link summoned, place 1 counter on it for each insect monster uses its Link material. And then the second effect, quick effect, you can remove 1 counter from this card, special summon 1 level 4 lower insect monster from your graveyard in defense position. Unfortunately, you can't use the same effect in the same turn. So, during your turn, you get the counters, during their turn, you Monster Reborn. We're going to be running an Shinobi Insect Juggler Camino, which is just a way to link off stuff and get rid of our insect locks, which some of our Beetrooper links do for us. Then we're going to be running 1 Solomon Great Almanraj. Almanraj is good because you can just normal summon it, and I believe if you have, so if you normal summon a Resonance Insect because you're out of luck, what you can do is you can Almanraj it, and then basically get the add-off Resonance Insect and I guess try to do some combos. Almirage is kind of like a worst-case scenario card. You have it in the deck in case you really need it. Other than that, we're going to be running also 2 Beetrooper Armor Horn. What it is a Link 2 insect monster. Requires 2 insects. It says you cannot special summon monsters except insect monsters, which is kind of bad because we don't really want to keep into that lock. It says you can only use each of the following effects once per turn. During your main phase, you can immediately after its effect resolves, normal summon 1 insect monster. Great extender. And then it also says if this card's in your graveyard, you can banish 3 other insect monsters from your graveyard and special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field. So it's actually an extender by using materials in the graveyard. It can be used to banish the Resonance Insect to send monsters to the graveyard and extend itself back out and keep on going through your place, which is amazing. We're also going to be running double Inzektor Picofelina. Picofelina being able to be used to attach to the Beetrooper Armor Horn a Resonance Insect. Because Resonance Insect says it only has to be on the field, it doesn't say it has to be in the monster zone. So if you use Picofelina and Armor Horn, Picofelina discards, attaches to Armor Horn a Resonance Insect, you can shuffle 3 to draw 1 with Picofelina, which is a good extender. Then what you can do is link off these 2 into our last link monster, which is 2 copies of Giant Beetrooper Invincible Atlas, triggering the Resonance Insect and getting an add. And then what you can do is you can banish the Resonance Insect using the Armor Horn and be able to send to the grave like a Goki Pole or the Fusion Parasite and continue your plays on from there. Invincible Atlas unfortunately also locks us into insect monsters, I believe, because it says, yeah, while this... Yeah, you cannot special summon monsters except insect monsters. I was correct. And then it says you contribute 1 insect monster, then activate one of these effects, special summon 1 Beetrooper monster from your deck, or this card gains 2,000 attack until the end of the turn. The cool thing about it is, while this card actually has 3,000 or less attack, which it normally does, your opponent cannot target this card with card effects, also cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So it becomes Dragoon. It's a 3k Dragoon that's kind of hard to get over. So it's a boss monster in the deck. Sometimes you might end on it, sometimes you might not. It's pretty good in my opinion, but it's mostly used as an extender. That's all the link monsters that we're going to be running in the deck. We're going to be running 1 XZ, which is a Cicada King. Cicada King is made out of our actual Beetrooper Scout Buggies because they're level 3 insects. What Cicada King is it says, if this battle position is change of this card, you can special summon 1 insect monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position. When a monster in the field activates its effects, you can detach 1 material from this card, then target that monster, negates effects, then make 1 insect monster in the field either gain 500 defense or change its battle position. So what you can do is basically, it's a monster negate that's on the field. If they negate if they activate a monster effect, you activate this. You can detach material. You turn Cicada King to defense, then a monster reborns an insect from your grave, which is really useful because of the fact that we run Fusion Parasite. And the whole loop is the fact that we have Cicada King, we have the Seraphim Papillion, and we also have, those are like the 2 main monster reborns, in a sense. And you loop these 2 to basically bring out the Fusion Parasite in order to keep on comboing and going into different fusions. Those fusions being Invoked Raijin, Invoked Caliga, Millenniumize Restrict, Mirror Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon. These are the 4. And then we're running 1 Mirror Jade target, which is the Titaniclad. So you can make all 4 of these out of Fusion Parasite, which is hilarious because of the fact that Fallen of Albaz is listed. So Fusion Parasite can count itself as Fallen of Albaz. And also these list Alistair the Invoker. So Fusion Parasite counts as Alistair. And it lists Relinquished, so Fusion Parasite counts as Relinquished. And in your combo, you can usually end off on Millenniumize Restrict, Mirror Jade, Invoked Raijin, you'll have a Cicada King negate, and yeah, that's usually it. So you'll have like 3 points of interruption, and then you might also have hand traps in your hand from your combo line, which is pretty crazy in my opinion. It's kind of complicated to understand how this would function without me showing you, so let me give you an example. So if we have, per se, let's say we have a Dragon Bite, right? And we have a Resonance Insect. And like, let's say just 1 extender, because usually you'll have something like this in your hand. You always open something very similar. Hard to brick in this deck. I very rarely brick. You would normal summon your Dragon Bite, special summon your Resonance. Off of that, you would link into your Beetrooper Armor Horn. Or what you could have done is because you had Scale Bomber, just special Scale Bomber now. You could do it after, it doesn't really matter. You link these off for Armor Horn, then you would activate the Resonance Insect. Resonance Insect would be able to get yourself, because we had the extender, we don't have to add Doom Dozer. We could add like Contact C for like follow-up, but I like the Doom Dozer right now, so we add Doom Dozer. Then what we can do is, I guess it really depends. So what you can do now is you basically banish these two, special Doom Dozer, Resonance Insect effect, you would be dumping a Goki Pull to add another Resonance Insect. Then off of, what you can do is extra normal the Resonance Insect off Beetrooper Armor Horn. This requires a 4th card in the hand, for example. Like let's say this is the 4th card in the hand. Because the issue is with Pico Felina, she has to discard a card to attach, which is fine. So you kind of use your whole hand in this combo, unfortunately, but that's fine. It's all right. So you would link off these two, go into Pico, Resonance Insect to add again. This time we're going to add a Mighty Neptune. Then what we can do is activate Pico, discarding this. Then we would be able to attach our final copy of Resonance Insect from deck to hand. We would attach it to the Armor Horn. Then, because we have this in hand, I'm running out of space on the screen, we'd be able now to link these two off, or if we wanted to, we could shuffle the 3, but I'm just not going to do it because sometimes you run out of resources in your grave very fast. We're going to go into a giant Beetrooper Invincible Atlas now. Resonance Insect goes off the last time because we've used all 3 Resonance Insects for their on-field effects. From here, you can either add Sting Lancer if they're playing a graveyard-oriented deck, or if you know that they can't really out they can't out anything because they don't have generic links, you can go Contact C. So in this case, I'm just going to add Contact C. So we have Contact C and Mighty Neptune in hand. We have Invincible Atlas on the field. We have Scale Bomber on the field also. This is our hand. What we can then do is we can actually activate Armor Horn, banishing the Resonance Insect, banishing the other Resonance Insect, and then banishing like the Goki Pull, because we're playing 2 Goki Pull. What you can then do is summon out the Armor Horn. We get the double Resonance Insect effects. Off of that is we already used the Goki Pull, so we can't get the add anymore. So what we're going to do is send Fusion Parasite. We're also going to send, in this case, I'm going to send Sting the Poison. Because what we can do is we can also Monster Reborn the Sting the Poison, and it becomes an Imperm if we really wanted to. Really depends. Then, off of this, we can activate Invincible Atlas, tributing the Scale Bomber. We're going to summon out the Beetrooper Scout Buggy. Scout Buggy's going to summon another copy of Scout Buggy. Then, we're going to XZ the Scout Buggies into Cicada King. In this case, I want to put it into attack, because we're going to be changing its battle position again. Now we're left with Contact C and Heavy Beetrooper Mighty Neptune in our hand. We can activate Mighty Neptune. We can shuffle all 3 banished copies of Resonance Insect into the deck. And then we can special summon the Mighty Neptune. Then we can use the Armor Horn plus the Invincible Atlas to end off our combo with going into Seraphim Papillion. Now, Seraphim Papillion will get 2 counters on it. Usually, you only need 1. It doesn't really matter. But we just have it regardless. So, this is our end board. Now you're asking yourself, oh, Tristan, why does this end board look so crappy? There's like nothing. All you have is a Contact C in hand, you have a Monster Negate, and that's it. Well, this actually isn't just 1 Monster Negate. It's like 4 right now. Then let me explain. So what we're going to do is, I told you earlier that Mighty Neptune has an end phase effect, that it wants to boost the attack of an insect. However, in the words of Simo, however, we can use the Mighty Neptune's effect and actually negate it with the Cicada King. So we're going to detach a Scout Buggy to negate the Mighty Neptune and change your Cicada King to defense, which will trigger Cicada King, summoning out our Fusion Parasite. And then we can use Fusion Parasite plus Mighty Neptune to go into Millennium Eyes Restrict. Now look, we turned a useless beater into an Omni Negate. Or not an Omni Negate, but it's a negate for monsters on the field or in their graveyard. Still really good. But it gets even better during the next turn. So, we enter into their draw phase. They say, okay, draw, standby. Fine. They say they're going to activate, they normal summon Alistair. Alistair effect. Hold on, I'm going to negate it with Cicada King. Turn Cicada King, detach, turn it to attack. Then, what you can do is use this, you're going to use Cicada King's effect, summon back out the Fusion Parasite again. Now, Fusion Parasite effect is going to go off, and now we can use the Cicada King plus the Fusion Parasite to go into Invoke Drygen. So we turned a negate into a flip face down. Huh, really interesting, right? Or what you could do, even funnier, let's say use the Millennium Eyes Restrict, right? So they want to, I don't know, they use a monster effect. They want to do something. So we still have one material on this card, for example. They try doing something. We Millennium Eyes Restrict them, and we, like, let's say we attach the monster to it as material, it's negated. They're like, okay, fine. They continue doing their plays. Another monster effect gets on the field. Wait, I'm gonna detach Cicada King. Detach, turn, summon Fusion Parasite. Funny enough, Fusion Parasite plus Millennium Eyes Restrict can actually go into Invoked Caliga. You wouldn't think that this is kind of ridiculous how much variety you can go into. And then basically you're saying like, oh, I'm gonna put this in defense. Yeah, you can only activate one monster effect and you can only attack with one monster. Well, that's an issue. You also have Contact C in hand, so you can interrupt them with that. Okay, fine. So let's say that we didn't go into the Caliga and we still have like the Restrict in field. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna Fusion Parasite and we're gonna use the Cicada King, Fusion Parasite, going into Raijin. Okay, is that enough interruption? Now, what we can also do is activate Seraphim Papillion. Papillion effect to to remove a counter, summon Fusion Parasite. Fusion Parasite effect, Seraphim Papillion effect, to fuse with Seraphim Papillion, to go into Mirror Jade. Oh yeah, you like board wipes? You like having non-targeting banish? Plus Contact Z? Crazy board. Oh wait, it's not an insect board. But I made it out of insects. It's really funny because of the fact that you have such a commanding presence off of such a really weak looking board. You start off with one monster negate during the end of your phase, turning into Millennium Eyes Restrict. Then during their phase, you have two negates. Two negates turning into, you have the two flat negates, you have it turning into the one negate turning into a flip face down, and a monster just basically goes into Mirror Jade, and if they out it, it wipes their board. Not to mention the Contact C in your hand. This is nuts. I can't believe how good this deck is. Fusion Parasite just makes this strategy so viable and just so like varied. You can basically throw in any fusion monster that has like a listed name in it and just play it. It's kind of dumb in my opinion, but I love this deck profile. I think it's hilarious how varied it can be and how strong it is now after Verte's banned, especially with Contact C, and just all the plays that you possibly have in the deck. You basically go through like half your deck, and then not to mention you might have one or two cards left in your hand along with the Contact C because you shuffled it with Pico Felina, and that could be like a Sting Lancer, or it could be a Godarla for follow-up. So you're like crazy on your follow-up. And not to mention, you basically went through your whole entire deck, so you have 3 Resonance Insect left in your deck because you shuffled them. You have the Beetrooper field spell to follow up. You have like, you have all the bee extenders. You still have a Scout Buggy in the deck, which can summon Scout Buggies back. And then you also have like Dragon Bite, which can modulate levels. You have Pin the Bullseye to special summon. You basically have all your extenders and hand traps. It's nuts. But that's the deck profile. I hope you guys all enjoyed. hopefully this fusion Beetrooper strategy will start gaining traction after this ban list, and I hope you all enjoyed it, and we'll try it out at your next locals. Until next time. Quick side note, I also forgot to mention this deck is supposed to be 42 cards, and I forgot to put this last card into the deck, which was the Arbalest, which can be added off Sting the Poison, and is a monster breed born for level 3 or lower insect monsters in your graveyard, and it can also trigger Fusion Parasite again. So yeah, just forgot to mention that, just want to put it in at the end of the video. Hope you all enjoy, and until next time again.